You probably know someone who is already on their third or fourth marriage. At every new ceremony, there's that glint in their eyes, an absolute certainty that this is the one, and a convincing narrative that the previous partner was the problem and the current one is the ultimate solution. Those watching from the outside with cold detachment often feel a mix of pity and embarrassment, because the outcome seems obvious to everyone except the person living the cycle. The psychology of people who marry multiple times isn't about an excess of love, nor is it about chronic bad luck haunting good hearts. It is about a silent, persistent glitch in their reality processing system. Most people believe that serial marriage is a search for happiness, but behavioral neuroscience suggests something much more unsettling. The human brain, when untrained, prefers familiar suffering to unknown happiness. What I'm going to show you here is that repetition is not an accident. It is an unconscious attempt to fix the past using exactly the same tools that broke it. We'll get into it in a second, but first, hit subscribe and like the video. If you don't like it, you can unlike it at the end. Deal? Let's go. You might not like what I'm about to say, but you need to hear it. The ring on the finger is often not a symbol of union, but a temporary band-aid for an internal hemorrhage of validation that never stops bleeding. If you think this is just about romantic relationships, you are missing the deeper layer of the game. We are talking about how the human mind deals with the void, with identity, and with the absolute inability to endure one's own company in silence. Since you are watching this video, I assume you've already decided to stop ignoring the obvious. So let's dissect the 4 invisible mechanisms that keep intelligent, functional, hardworking people trapped in degrading emotional loops, believing they are moving forward when, in reality, they are just walking in circles. Let's dissect the first mechanism, which is compulsive repetition. If you coldly analyze the history of someone who has been married 3, 4, or 5 times, you will notice something disturbing. The partners changed names, faces, and professions, but the emotional dynamic is identical. Psychology calls this repetition compulsion. The brain isn't looking for a happy ending. It's looking for a known ending. Unconsciously, this person chooses partners who trigger the same childhood wounds or past traumas in the childish hope that, this time, they can fix the outcome. It's like hiring different actors to perform the same tragic play over and over again, expecting the script to magically change in the 3rd act. This drains an absurd amount of vital energy. While the person believes they are looking for love, they are actually trapped in a loop of traumatic reenactment. They don't see the partner as a real individual, but as an object of projection. And here comes the hidden cost no one calculates: the inability to accumulate emotional and financial wealth. Divorces are expensive, not just for the wallet, but for the psyche. Someone who rebuilds their life from scratch every 5 years can never build the kind of legacy that requires time and stability. Effective instability is almost always a glass ceiling for real prosperity. This leads us to the second mechanism, which is the cognitive illusion of "this time will be different." The human brain is a survival machine, not a truth machine, and it is a master of optimistic self-sabotage. To justify entering a new cycle that has all the characteristics of the previous one, the mind creates a deliberate blind spot. The person ignores obvious red flags: excessive jealousy, financial incompatibility, emotional immaturity, and focuses hyperbolically on a single positive quality that acts as a painkiller. It is confirmation bias operating on steroids. The honeymoon phase acts like a potent drug, flooding the system with dopamine and masking reality. Serial marriers are usually addicted to the beginning, to the promise, to the potential. They fall in love with what they imagine the other person could be, never with what the other person actually is. It is a risk assessment failure. In the business world, an investor who ignores an asset's history and invests based solely on hope goes broke. In relationships, the result is the same: emotional bankruptcy. The person isn't playing the game of building. They are playing the game of gambling, and the house always wins. But what drives this continuous bet? Here we enter the third mechanism, which brings a fascinating and painful psychological contradiction: the conflict between the fear of loneliness and the fear of real commitment. It may seem paradoxical to say that someone who gets married all the time is afraid of commitment, but that is exactly what happens. Serial marriage is often an escape from deep intimacy. When the relationship starts demanding that the masks fall and real vulnerabilities be exposed, the person sabotages the bond, exits the scene, and seeks a new partner to restart the cycle on the surface, where it's safe. At the same time, they are terrified by the silence of an empty room. They cannot stand their own company because, in the silence, the voices of self-criticism and existential emptiness scream loud. Marriage functions as white noise, a constant distraction so they don't have to look inside. I'm going to repeat this phrase because it might help change your behavior. Loneliness isn't the absence of people, it's the absence of self. Those who can't stand themselves use others as crutches. And crutches break when you put all your weight on them. And this connects us directly to the fourth and final mechanism of this cycle: the search for external validation as identity. For the serial spouse, marital status isn't a circumstance, it's a definition of value. There is an underlying belief that being chosen by someone validates their existence. Marriage becomes a trophy of normality, a desperate attempt to prove to society and to themselves that they are lovable, that they function. The problem is that seeking internal validation from external sources is like trying to fill a leaking bucket. No matter how much water you pour in, it never stays full. Each new spouse is an attempt to plug this hole, but since the problem is structural, the external solution inevitably fails. People who are strategically positioned in life understand that value is intrinsic. They don't need a partner to be someone. They want a partner to build something. The difference between needing and wanting is the difference between emotional slavery and freedom. As long as you need someone to tell you who you are, you will be a hostage to anyone who offers you a crumb of attention. The turning point for those who recognize themselves in this pattern is not to seek a new, better relationship, but to stop seeking any relationship for an indefinite period. The cure for compulsive repetition is not getting it right, it is abstinence. You need to learn to endure the discomfort of your own presence without anesthesia. The brain needs to be reconditioned to understand that solitude is not a death sentence, but the only possible space for real self-knowledge. As long as you can't eat dinner alone on a Friday night without feeling like there's something wrong with you, you will be an easy target for anyone who offers the slightest bit of validation. Mental restructuring begins when you stop asking, "Why am I unlucky in love?" and start asking, "What am I trying to avoid feeling by diving headfirst into this new relationship?" The answer, almost invariably, is the fear of facing who you have become. Strategically mature people understand that a partner should be a multiplier of a life that is already complete, not the missing piece for life to begin. If you enter a marriage expecting to be saved, you have already signed the divorce papers before the ceremony even begins. The cycle only breaks when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of facing the void. Until then, you will keep changing actors, but the script will remain a predictable tragedy. Real freedom is not having someone. It is not needing anyone to feel like you exist. Now, do me a favor and leave a comment saying whether you liked or disliked the content and why. Your reflection helps other people reflect on the topic as well. Take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel to continue receiving more content like this. See you in the next video.